2022 is around 43% of households, and that's about a 7% increase from a decade previously.
In 2022, 43% of Americans surveyed said they'd want to get married, but just a little more than a quarter said they were sure about wanting children. According to census data, dinks can save 9% more for retirement each year compared to dual-income couples with children. Another 2021 study found that childless adults aged 55 and older had a personal median net worth of $153,900, compared to $130,400 for biological parents.
However, you ask a woman, do you have kids? And she says no. If she doesn't continue that conversation, that's not her in need of prompting. Do you want kids? She has her answer. She was just drawing a boundary. There's no more information. We have to be okay with that. She has her answer, and she's thought a lot about it, and it's very personal to her. And that answer is somewhere in the realm of, yes, we actually do have kids. They're weird looking. Yes, we want them. Yes, we're working on it. We're fucking real hard. We're not sure. It's expensive. Something's wrong with me. More likely there's something wrong with him. We don't know. Unclear. Future's uncertain. Come back later. Or, fuck no, we love our tortoise. Whatever it is. Whatever the answer is, I promise you her answer is never that she forgot. And thank God she ran into you at the dry cleaners.
What are you gonna do when you're old? Just wait, you'll change your mind. How is your life gonna have purpose? We as women have been indoctrinated that children are our only goal and purpose and worth in this world.
People ask me, do you have children? And I say no. They always look at me then and say, oh, I'm sorry. As if like there's something like physically wrong with me.
I've had people break down in tears to me about the fact that me not having children is robbing them of something.
I've gotten everything from you're selfish for not wanting children. Your childhood must have been terrible if you don't want to have children.
Are you one of these career-thirsty women that doesn't want children, and how could you deny your man the chance to have children? I wouldn't want to be with you.
Who made a personal choice in a radical act for her time. Queen Elizabeth I, a virgin queen, which we know based on historical fact is not true. She was a queen. Which brings us to sex. Particularly if you were a married woman, choosing not to have children, it implies that you might just be having sex for pleasure. Another radical notion. But meanwhile, back in the 1500s, Queen Elizabeth is the reigning monarch, the virgin queen, excellent PR for a childless woman of her time. And despite the fact that she's the monarch and she herself is an unmarried childless woman, women's choices are severely limited. Women cannot go to school. They can be educated at home, but they can't go to school, nor can they enter professions such as politics, law, or medicine. Women can go into marriage, motherhood, domestic service, or the sex trade. Or if you wanted a life of the mind free of domesticity, you could become a nun. Basically, those were your choices. So Elizabeth wasn't stupid. She understood the culture she was in, and she chose powerfully her own destiny. Her reign is known as the Golden Age. It brought us new frontiers in art, music, and literature, and a renaissance in thinking that influences us to this day. But no heirs. Still, a legacy. It's where we trust that a life of creative purpose is not exclusive to procreation, and that our legacies are not just biological. It includes loving, mentoring, and nurturing the other humans that cross our path. Fighting for the rights of the world's children. Making poetry, art, or music, or forging a path in entrepreneurship or science, or simply getting up every day and living a life that is true to your own deep choosing.
Kamala Harris, AOC, the entire future of the Democrats is controlled by people without children. And how does it make any sense that we've turned our country over to people who don't really have a direct stake in it? We're effectively run in this country via the Democrats, via our corporate oligarchs, by a bunch of childless cat ladies who are miserable at their own lives and the choices that they've made, and so they want to make the rest of the country miserable too.
Mirren admitted what she especially hoped for was to leave a legacy that extended beyond whether or not she had children. She said that she wants to be thought of in the same vein as Katharine Hepburn or Ingrid Bergman, and for people to look back on her movies and think she was brilliant.
I wake up at 6 a.m. I remember that I have no kids to take to school, so I take an edible, masturbate, and go back to sleep. I wake up at 12:30 p.m. and get ready for a busy day of doing whatever the I feel like.
The billionaire who's been with longtime love Stedman Graham for decades tells The Hollywood Reporter she doesn't regret not having kids. Oprah also says while her best friend had childhood dreams of having kids, I was having daydreams about how I could be Martin Luther King. But the talk show legend did say in an interview last year she enjoys being a mother figure to the girls at her leadership academy in South Africa.
I will tell you what has brought me the greatest happiness, and it's so really unexpected. Being able to step into the mother role and be a real mother, friend, companion, advisor, comforter. I didn't know that I would love it so much.
She considers those girls her kids. She said, this all was meant to be.
I am ready for life class.
Your kids' needs come first, and especially as a woman. I mean, men can go off and do whatever they want, but as a woman, we're expected to make these huge sacrifices.
The world perceives child-free women in the most negative light possible.
I think it's not a need for women anymore. We don't need to have children. We find that our own happiness is more important, our own mental health is more important.
We have been called selfish. We've been called narcissists, which is kind of strange.
I've been told multiple times by family members, family friends, sometimes friends, but pretty rarely, that once I get older and I can't have kids anymore, or I choose not to have kids, once I get older, you know, I'm going to see my friends have kids, and I'll either be jealous that I'm not having kids that are interacting with them, or that I'll lose out on something, or that, you know, I'll be older and I'll be sad because I don't have, you know, children around me and grandchildren.
And it's your life. You got to do what makes you happy. And if that means you have to divest yourself of those who are judging you for your decisions and making you feel bad, then maybe they shouldn't be in your life. Period.
44 Childfree By Choice. So for starters, check out the subreddit called Our Regretful Parents. It is eye-opening how transparent people will be about that when they're under the safety of anonymity. Next, no, I've never once in my life regretted not having kids. And just to go through some of the stuff that you stated, will you be jealous of your friends who have kids? You're not jealous of something you don't want. You will be jealous when you don't have kids of your own interacting with their kids. I mean, it's not a dog park. When you're older, you'll be sad that you didn't do it. So I'm 44, never been sad that I haven't had kids. If it takes a village to raise a child, I am happy being the village. I have plenty of friends who are mothers. When they haven't showered in 3 days because they have a newborn, I am happy to go over and sit with that child so they can take a shower, take a nap. And they've had a really frustrating, hard, rough day and finally get those kids down 2 hours past their bedtime. I am happy to show up late at night with a bottle of wine and let them just rage or cry. If the kids are having a birthday party and they need help with the food, they know that Aunt Jess will come and clutch with some Cookie Monster cupcakes or some Komodo dragon salad. Ask them how many times they've seen a parent and said that person should have never become a parent. Ask them where the disconnect is, that when people recognize beforehand they should never become a parent, why we don't listen to them and believe them. Ask them why they feel that your decision to not have kids somehow challenges their decision to have kids.
I
I've never regretted it, not for a second. I just turned 57, and I am so grateful that I knew myself well enough to know that I did not want children, that it was not the right choice for me. And no, I am not missing out. I am not jealous. I'm not missing out on having young people to nurture and care for and love in my life. My life and my mental health and my emotional health and my financial well-being are all so much better because I did not have children.
I was child-free by choice. I am biologically child-free by choice, and I'm very happy with the decisions that I've made. Now, when I was 5 years old, I marched up to my mom and I said, I'm never having children. I want to be a scientist. And my mom later said to me, I knew at 5 years of age that you were serious. And that's what I went on. I got into science, and I never had biological children. I just never had that desire. I never had that gene or that mom chip in me that was like, oh, I want a little baby. I want to have children. It just literally never once in my entire life did I ever feel like I wanted children.
I've always believed that having children was an extension of womanhood, not the definition. I believe that a woman's value should never be determined by whether or not she has a child, because that strips her of her entire identity as an adult unto herself. Women have this amazing ability to create life, but when we say that that is her purpose, that says that her entire existence is a means to an end. It's so easy to forget the roles that society places on us are so much more than mere titles. What about the weight that comes with them? The pressure to conform to these standards? The fear associated with questioning them? And the desires that we cast aside to accept them? There are many paths to happiness and fulfillment. They all look very different. But I believe that everyone is paved with the right to self-determination. I want women to know that your choice to embrace or forego motherhood is not in any way tied to your worthiness or identity as spouses, as adults, or as women.